But here we are, round one between BBB, Pacifist, Warlord, who's bringing the Empire versus VM Tanks, Vampire Counts. Let's go ahead and throw it into slow-mo here because they're getting right to it, chat, wouldn't you know? Starting with the Vampire Counts brought by Mr. Tank. Looks like we're going to have zombies. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And, yeah, so 4 zombies. We're then going to have Graveguard with great weapons. It looks like 2, and I think 3. No, just 2 of them. We're going to have some skeleton warriors here for that extra chaff. And then we're going to have some Karen Wraiths, ethereal ghost armor piercing infantry. Some skeleton warriors supporting them. We're going to have 2 units of Blood Knights over here on this left flank with Heinrich Kemmler. Heinrich Kemmler will be on a horse, and he's going to be bringing Krell, his lovely buddy summon. And, oh my goodness gracious, can I not get you, Heinrich Kemmler? There you go. We got Undeath Resurgent, Raised Dead, as well as Van Hale's Dance Macabre, and Invocation of the Heck with Master of the Dead. Going to have ourselves a couple of White Kings. Looks like they're going to be on horses, both of them with Scabscrath. And then we have the Chillgeist, a Regiment of Renown Hex Wraiths. For the Empire, Pistoliers out front doing some early skirmishing against this Vampire Count force. We're going to have Karl Franz in the air on his Griffin Deathclaw, bringing Reichland Runefang, Foe Seeker, and Hold the Line. Got some grenade launchers here. Oh, a man after my own heart. Thank you, Pacifist Warlord. Grenade launchers are the best. His front line will consist of 3 Flagellants. We got some Spearmen. Looks like going to be a total of 4 of them. You have Demogryph Knights with Halberds in the back line. A unit of Outriders for the armor piercing. We have a Jade Wizard here on foot with Earthblood, Life Bloom, and the Power Stone. I think that rounds out both of our forces, but oh, look at me neglecting the Warrior Priest. Blood Knights going right into the Spearmen, an interesting decision, and I think it's going to bite him in the butt, as we are now going to see the Demogryph Knights going out, and they're going to get a nice rear charge on top of them. Zombie Summon going in, trying to pin those Demogryph Knights in place, though. Got Shield of Faith, Soulfire, Hammer of Sigmar, and the Banner of the Eternal Flame on top of that Warrior Priest. Alright, the Chillgeist running through some Pistoliers. Spearmen trying to get on top of them, but they're still taking some damage. Hex Wraiths coming through, but, you know, unbreakable infantry in the front won't tear out to those ethereal units. So far, very even matchup, but it looks like the Empire has come out on top of the trade so far. Alright, Blood Knights going through this gap, but a nice interception by the Demogryph Knights with Halberds. However, Karen Wraiths are hitting them in the rear now, and those Demogryph Knights are going down quickly, scarily quickly, as the Karen Wraiths hit him in the rear. Karl Franz going after Heinrich Kemmler. Heinrich Kemmler is on top of a horse, making him a much easier target for Karl Franz to hit. And the Demogryph Knights with Halberds are chasing those Blood Knights. Soulfire doing some nice damage. Karl Franz getting pinned by the Chillgeist. Blood Knights going in to help out there. Across the rest of the front line, you can see that the Empire, honestly, like, I don't even know if it was intentional or not, but they have a nice refused flank if they decide to pull back on it. And a lot, like the Graveguard of Great Weapons and 2 zombies from the Vampire Counts, are sitting idly on the other flank, not doing anything right now. But this is where the big engagements are happening. I think this is where the battle will be decided. And it looks like the Chillgeist and the 2 Blood Knights may be more than enough to deal with the Demogryph Knights. Hammer of Sigmar has been popped. Karl Franz does look like he's coming back to support here. And now Heinrich Kemmler got a huge charge on top of him from Karl Franz. You have the Warrior Priest nearby too, but the Krell summon just went down. And now you have a White King in here. And this is where Karl Franz needs to be deadly careful. Oh, he needs to be so careful. Krell is just smashing him. And now you have the Chillgeist, and I don't think the Empire is going to get out of this, guys. I do not think the Empire is going to get out of this. Just seems like the Empire is getting overwhelmed right now. We do have the Outriders. The grenade launcher is still very healthy, and the value they can get is going to be insane if they survive. Over here, Karl Franz still running away. The Chillgeist hot on his tail. The Blood Knights hot on his tail. And he's just having a hard time getting in the air. White Kings are chasing after him, as is Heinrich Kemmler. And there goes an Invocation to Heck on top of the Chillgeist. Over here, ooh, One last soul fire going down before the warrior priest terror routed, and that did quite a number on top of the Karen Wraiths. How are you still alive, Carl? Reichlin, Runefang, Shield of Faith, Hammer of Sigmar, and Foe Seeker are all popped. Karl Franz can quite literally not be buffed up anymore. And we're going to see Demogryph Knights hitting a rear charge on top of the Blood Knights. Karl Franz still trying to run away, but the Blood Knights and other units are chasing him down. They're not letting him catch his breath. Spearmen coming in to try to intercept, but Karl Franz just shattered, and that's going to be a GG. Tank bringing it home with the vampire counts. Yeah, they brought a Jade Wizard, but I think the Jade Wizard might have gotten killed off earlier in the battle there by one of the White Kings. I just missed it. Oh, Krell. Yeah, Tinky's good. But a great game. I mean, to both of those guys, grenade launchers getting some nasty kills. But yeah, I just think there's a couple of engagements early on there that the Empire got in that didn't pan out, and that cost them the game. The Demogryph Knights, in particular, getting sandwiched between the Blood Knights and the Karen Wraiths. That was a difficult one. But let's go ahead and get to the next one and see what we have in store. Alright, so Pacifist Warlord bringing the Greenskins versus VM Tanks Tomb Kings. Round 2 of this best of 3, and it is currently match point for VM Tank. So, let's go ahead and throw into slow-mo just to cover these armies. For the Greenskins, front line consisting of Gobos, looks like 5 of them. Behind those Goblins, we're going to have Orc Arrow Boys, 3 of them with the Rusty Arrows. We're going to have 2 Doomdiver Catapults, 2 Orc Biggins. Also going to have some Forest Goblin Spider Riders in the rear, as well as 1 on the right flank, and I would bet 1 on the left flank. Indeed, there they are. Now, for the leadership here, we have a Black Orc Big Boss on foot. Very popular pick in the Greenskin meta nowadays, especially because of his ability, Rabble Rouse, that gives immune to psychology to the allies within a 40-meter radius of himself. For the leader of this battle, we have a Goblin Great Shaman on top of an Arachnarok Spider with the Spider Shrine on top. We have Don't Even Try It, Crown of Command, Arcane Conduit, along with Itchy Nuisance, Vindictive Glare, and Sneaky Stabbin'. And don't forget that Sneaky Stillin'. He wants to be stealing that power recharge rate from his enemies whenever he's casting. Now, for the Tomb Kings, we may be in some trouble here. Just looking at their army initially, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. We have Skeleton Warriors. Looks like 2 of them. We have some Tomb Guard. Another 2 of them, with a 3rd being the Regiment of Renowned Kepra Guard. These guys have magic damage. They also have bonus versus infantry, and they regenerate. We have some Skeleton Warriors here, and then for the Constructs, it looks like we're going to be looking at 1, 2, 3 Ushapti, as well as a Necropolis Knight with Halberds. And kicking it into full speed, we have a Necrotech back here. Going to have Restore and Vambraces of the Sun and the Elixir of Might, along with Stone Shaper and the Wrath of the Creator. He's all decked out. And then we have Setcher the Imperishable, Blessed Blade of Tra, Naru's Incantation, of Protection, Wrath of Tra, Eusep's Incantation of Desiccation, as well as Jaf's Incantation of Cursed Blades. Got the Crown and Hekar and Unyielding Will. Seems like he has most of his spells there. That's an interesting thing. I don't think I've seen that happen before. Now, 4 tanks, Tomb Kings. It looks like they're pushing forward, using the Ushapti and the other constructs to move forward with Setzer the Imperishable, and so we'll see what they end up doing. But it looks like they're really just going aggressive with their large units, and I don't know how I feel about this. The infantry isn't engaged yet. Their infantry will do great against the Greenskin infantry, and definitely want to see them taking their time, maybe moving the constructs and everybody over here into the forest while they wait for the infantry to close the gap. But now we're going to see some Ushapti, Necropolis Knights with Halberds get into combat a bit prematurely, I think. And the Greenskins are going to start shooting them to pieces very, very quickly. I'm wondering if maybe the pressure from those Doomdiver catapults got to the Tomb King player's tank's head, and he just kind of rushed in a bit too haphazardly. Oh my god, I had myself muted. I'm really sorry, guys. I was commentating and I accidentally hit my mute button. Anyways, you probably didn't miss much. You saw what was happening, and the Greenskins to me just looking really, really strong here. Shutting down all of the constructs at this point in the battle. Setzer the Imperishable taking a ton of damage, not getting the terror routes he needs to get against this Greenskin army because of that ability on the Black Orc Big Boss, and the fact that the Greenskin archers have just continued unchallenged right now has been really, really painful for the Tomb Kings. And I have to say, it's not often I see a Tomb King army go up against the Greenskins with absolutely no ranged units whatsoever. Right now, Setzer the Imperishable getting very, very low on health. Sneaky stabbing, and Wah has been popped, making the entire Greenskin army even deadlier than normal. And yeah, I'm going to chalk this up as a Greenskin victory to Pacifist Warlord in a rather convincing fashion. Doomdiver catapults continuing to pester him too. He can't get away. Those Doomdivers have been hitting him the entire battle like that. And that damage is real. 811 HP on top of Setzer. All of his infantry seems to be bunched up right here. Once again, a nice target for arrows and artillery. And Setzer the Imperishable just took a broadside with that Vindictive Glare. And he's going to go down for the count. Alright, well, once again, sorry for muting myself there halfway through the battle, but, yeah. Very nice game to Pacifist Warlord. Like I said in that battle, I would consider that a convincing victory right there. That was very well played. the greenskin player there. And I also have to say I'm not the hugest fan of the Tomb King army here. I just think they were... If you're going up against the greenskins, in general, unless you're like Norska, I just usually wouldn't recommend an all-out melee brawl tactic. I think that's one of the greenskins' strengths, is their melee infantry and just their fightiness potential. Tomb Guard did get a lot of good damage done, and I think some of the key mistakes that made that game a convincing victory to Pacifist Warlord were just the bunched up infantry engagements, and also I would argue that the Ushabti really overextended themselves. They pushed too far into the back lines of the greenskin force before their infantry was engaged. And I love Setarana Sphinx. He did have a rough go of it with the 2 Doom Divers focused on him. Goblin Great Shaman, Vindictive glaring him, and then you have all this Orc Error Boy power pestering him. And yeah, all in all, I just think that greenskin army is very well tailored to deal with this Tomb King army. So we're going to an ace match. Ain't nothing wrong with that, chat. Here we are. The map is Altdorf Outskirts. Yeah, BBB Pacifist Warlord with Norska taking on VM Tank with the Dwarfs. And this is round 3, so match point. Winner moves forward. The loser is sent packing. Better luck next time when Season 7 comes around. So let's go ahead, now that we're loaded in the game, and cover these armies. And I'll remember to remove the blocker too. No way, no way the Weepay wasn't there. It really wasn't there. I had to go to Discord and I found it. You're welcome, man. Go to sleep to the Dowie battle. But speaking of the Dwarfs, let's start with them since they're all together in some good old-fashioned defensive geometry. I haven't seen this in a while. Got some Dwarf Warriors making up the front line. We're going to have one on either flank as well, but just kidding. Scratch the one of them on the other flank. This is going to be a Longbeard. Then we're going to have the other Dwarf Warrior facing the rear. We're going to have 2 Slayers. One of them will be the Dragonback Slayer ROR. We have a cannon on the field of battle. We have some Iron Drakes with Trollheimer torpedoes. Their armored beards looking glorious. I just love the dwarf models so much. Have Norgrimleen's Iron Breakers right there. We're going to have some Quarrelers on the field of battle as well. Looks like we have 2 of them. And then for the leadership, we have Gotrek and Grombrindle. So Gotrek is going to be bringing Heroic Fortitude. And then we're going to have Grombrindle with Smoke Bomb, Foe Seeker, and Grombrindle has no fear. Now, let's go take a look and see what his opponent, the Norskins, have brought to the field. We're going to have some Norskan Warhounds vanguarded around the field of battle, looking for opportunities to take advantage of the dwarf backlines. They are all hidden at the moment. And then for the Norskan army, we're going to have a very big army, outnumbering their opponent by about 400 units. We're going to have Marauders in the front line. And it looks like 5 of them. We're going to have Berserkers backing them up, so it looks like 4 Berserkers. Going to have 4 Marauder Hunters with throwing axes, so that armor-piercing ammunition to shoot into the Dowie infantry. They are quite popular in this matchup. Going to have a Feral Mammoth going into battle. And then, aside from that, what else do we have here? Okay, just the Hero Squad by the looks of it. It's going to be a Fimir Belfing of Shadows with Penumbral Pendulum, Enfeebling Foe, Arcane Conduit, and the Miststalker? Is that what it's called? I'll check right now. From the Mist. And then we have Wolfric the Wanderer, Hunter of Champions, Seafang Foe Seeker, and he is going to be on foot with his Flayed Man Shield. So here we go, the Dwarfs in their defensive geometry, as we saw earlier, and it's time to see if they can survive this huge infantry rush from the Norskins, especially since they're getting supported by all those throwing axes. Dwarf Warriors going in to take the first charge from those Marauders, and now it looks like the Iron Breakers are going to start blowing up some Norskan infantry. As much damage as they're doing and as beautiful as it is, I almost would have liked to have seen him maybe save it for a big, juicy blob of Norskins. But front lines are getting engaged. Looks like both players getting clean charges off into each other. Over here, it looks like these Longbeards are going to stand their ground, not even counter charge against the Berserkers. I was checking. I didn't think they had charged expert charge defense, and they sure don't. Over here, Seafang going through and doing a lot of damage to the Ironbreakers. Bummed that I missed that. And oh, to add insult to injury, here comes a Penumbral Pendulum. And just like that, the Norgrimline Ironbreakers are down to very low health. The Berserkers are actually still quite healthy, and these throwing axes are just going to finish them off from there. Dwarf Warriors going to be intercepting the Marauder Berserkers, but funnily enough, neither unit charging into each other. They just kind of like run by each other, and they're like, oh, hey, yeah, I guess I'll fight you. Grombrindle and Gotrek still full health, dishing out some damage here to the Marauder Berserkers. The throwing axes are very close up to the front line, and that's allowing them to really focus their fire into the dwarf units in the back line. And as I say that, I also kind of have to acknowledge the fact that the dwarves really don't have a back line. It was just a circle with some juicy stuff in the center. And now that the throwing axes are in range, it seems to me they're shooting down these Iron Drake Trollhammer torpedoes and Quarrelers very, very quickly. Trollhammer torpedoes are firing away into the Feral Mammoth that is rampaging, though. Grombrindle is nearby, and those Trollhammers with a few more volleys are going to be able to kill off that Mammoth. The Norgrimline Ironbreakers are still around, guys. Don't be surprised. No matter how much damage they take, they usually fight to the bitter end because of their crazy good leadership. And, yeah, this Feral Mammoth going to be doing some serious damage. Grombrindle taking some serious damage by the looks of it. Gotrek is coming out to fight Wulfric the Wanderer now, and Grombrindle has decided to turn around and help, but that Feral Mammoth continues to do some serious damage to him, and the Trollhammer torpedoes are now routing. So things are not looking too good for Tank and his dwarfs at the moment. What can he do over here? Dragonback Slayers killing off Norscan Warhounds. Slayers holding back Marauders. Marauder Berserkers, though, winning a lot of the engagements across the field. The Longbeards holding firm. Gotrek is taking a lot of damage at the moment. Looks like Enfeebling Foe has been popped down on top of him, and Gotrek is currently routing, but the Dragonback Slayers are pushing forward, and if anybody could help Gotrek remove this Feral Mammoth from the battlefield, it's going to be the Dragonback Slayers. But the question is, can Gotrek survive? And look at that, his health popping, keeping him in the fight. He was almost knocked out, but heroic fortitude kicking him and saving the day. Over here, Dragonback Slayers eliminating the Feral Mammoth. Gotrek chasing after the Fimir Belfiend with shadows quite aggressively. And the Marauder Hunters with throwing axes are starting to run low on ammunition, but it does look like they're going to be focusing on Gotrek at the moment, and probably going to be able to do some good damage here. So Gotrek running back towards Grombrindle, trying to regroup with his ally. The balance of power definitely in favor of the Norskins, but it started to come back towards the Dwarfs ever so slightly here, and I think that's due to the ammunition running out on these Marauder Hunters. Gotrek coming after Wulfric. Looks like Grombrindle's coming after him too. The Hunter of Champions is down on top of Gotrek, and a huge hit from Wulfric. Wulfric may be able to kill him off. Oh, look at the little somersault into the dodge. Smoke bomb getting popped on top of Wulfric. He's trying to run away, but that's going to open him up to some very big shots in the back from both Gotrek and Grombrindle the White Dwarf. But it looks like the throwing axes, with the little ammunition they have left, may be enough to finish off this dwarf pair. But will Wulfric survive? No, he won't. He gets killed, and at least the grudge has been settled with the leader of this Norscan army, but other dwarfs on another day will have to come settle the grudge of the battle being lost. Quarrelers opening fire, shooting into some of these throwing axes, but yeah, at this point, the Fimir Belfiend is the only leader on the field with any actual health, and I don't see the dwarves being able to eliminate the remaining Norscan infantry. But as I say that, look at that. The Dragonback Slayers are still alive. Norgrimline Ironbreakers are still alive. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. I've seen the Dowie come back from worse odds than this, believe it or not. So let's stay tuned and see what happens. Iron Drakes getting eliminated by the throwing axes, but they're pinning them in place, doing some good damage and allowing these Quarrelers to fire in some suppressive fire. Going to see Longbeards diving in to intercept the Marauder Hunters as Grombrindle pulls back due to the Enfeebling Foe that has been popped on top of himself. We have the Dragonback Slayers, unbreakable units, going after the Marauder Berserkers, but this is a bad engagement for the Dragonback Slayers. We will see how long they last, but yeah, the Marauder Berserkers at this point have, yeah, they're going to be winning this fight quite handily with their bonus versus infantry and high weapon strength. The Dragonback Slayer is going to fight to the bitter end as they are unbreakable, but a Pyrrhic victory going to the Norskins, and BBB, Pacifist Warlord, going to defeat VM Tank in a 2-1 fashion after a wonderful best of 3. Yeah, Marauder Berserkers are awesome going on the Merciless. They are nuts. Yeah. The Mammoth did a ton of work. I was very surprised by that, but ultimately that, I think, has to deal with, like, I love Dowie now. I like them a lot now, and Tank is a better player than me. I'll be the first one to admit that. But I think with this army, I would have liked to have seen it be a bit looser of a door formation. It's a double-edged sword, obviously. You don't want to get eliminated piecemeal, but in that scenario, when there was that many Marauder Hunters, having his formation so tight meant he wasn't really able to screen the Marauder Hunters out very well. And since he couldn't screen them to be out of range of the Iron Drakes and the Quarrelers, they were able to eliminate the Dowie ranged units for the most part. And without the Iron Drakes there, especially towards the late game, like those Iron Drakes could have killed the Mammoth, but the throwing axes killed him first. And the Mammoth not being killed earlier rather than later meant Grombrindle and Gotrek got dominated by that Mammoth for a while. These guys can dish out some damage, but you also have to remember Mammoths have a bonus versus infantry. These guys are both infantry, and it can do some real damage before it goes down, as it did. Slayer's doing some good work in the backline, but unfortunately it seems like a lot of the time they were tied up on Marauders. But yeah, overall a beautiful series. VM Tank, one of the best players in the game, so big shout out to him. Better luck next season, my friend. And BBB Pacifist Warlord, another one of the greats in this game, pulling out the victory after an initial loss, with 2 pretty clean victories after that. So well played to him, and congrats for moving forward in the tournament.